Hey there, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. fans. We are talking about Season 3, Episode 19, Failed Experiments on tonight's AfterBuzz recap show. Tonight we are talking about Hive's origins, friendships tested, and of course, the latest news and gossip. Stay tuned.
You're tuning into the destination for TV superfan discussion, AfterBuzz TV. And now, let the buzz begin.
Hey there, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. fans. We got the band back together again for the first time in like a month.
Huzzah!
It has been a very long time since all of us have been here together.
Yeah.
It has been. It
Too
has
long.
You might say we've assembled.
been. We have.
No one would say that.
AfterBuzz. No one would say that? I just said. Oh, okay, fine.
I liked it, Zach.
Well, let me go ahead and introduce my fantastic panel, Jesse Klein.
Hi everyone, you can find me at JessKlein1, that's JessKlein, the number 1 on Twitter and Instagram. Super excited!
Yee! Zach Wilson.
I'm back! You guys can find me on Twitter at @ZachWilson.
Joyce Ajouri.
Hey guys, good to be back this week. You can find me on Twitter, Instagram, and Snapchat at Ajouri.
And I'm Megan. You guys can follow me on Twitter at @TheMenguin. That's TheMenguin. We are also going to be keeping an eye on the hashtag ABTVMarvel. And if we could get the live chat up in one way or another, great. We've got the live chat. Thank you, Zach. You were the best.
I've got devices. Somebody was worried because like my laptop's in the shop this week.
Oh no!
Yeah.
They've been
Somebody
blowing
tweeted
up
me
your
like,
live chat.
"How are you gonna follow the chat?" I was like, "Guys, we got this."
We have the
multiple
technology
ways.
to make it faster, better, stronger than it was before.
Yeah, it's functional.
It's
Daft
functional.
Punk.
Good enough. We have good enough technology.
Much like our S.H.I.E.L.D. B team.
Yeah, S.H.I.E.L.D.
Which we need to know more about.
S.H.I.E.L.D. without Inhumans is good enough. And yeah, we can go ahead and start talking about our elevated interns, Piper and O'Brien.
They
Yeah.
got promotions.
Was anybody else thinking like these guys are so dead? Like name dropped just so that they can die later on?
Red shirt agents.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm only here to die, aren't I?
I just thought it was
seemed like
weird that we only, I only heard like one name out loud. So I was like, who are these people?
They didn't drop Piper's name until near the very end.
That's true. Oh, that's true. I do remember May saying
Piper. Yeah. I mean, I like their personalities, but I'm like, who are you?
Yeah.
Why are you here?
Well, some interns got promoted.
Yeah, exactly.
I like them grounding the show because, like, having Piper be like, wait, are we not freaking out about the fact that aliens just landed? Because it is like everyone on this team is just so used to it being like, yeah, there's this giant squid monster with hive pieces. Like everyone's like, okay, yeah, let's just go do it. So having someone to be like, wait, can we just process this for a second?
Part of me thinks that they're so super new, they should not have been on this mission.
Yeah.
They really shouldn't have been.
I mean,
Yeah.
they're sort of shorthanded though.
Yeah.
The specific team, I don't think the characters are necessarily from anywhere, but it reminded me of this team that that May had recently in
the
the comics, where it was the cavalry one-off issue, and May was like training a bunch of like rando
cool.
characters, and it like reminded me of them.
Oh, that's cool.
I like how they do that on the show. They kind of bring in like, you know, little sprinkles of the world of that universe into the show.
Yeah, it's always nice to get the characters who would be audience stand-ins if literally any audience member was in the situation that they're in, which is aliens.
Yeah.
Really, we're going to talk about this. On the other hand, I'm so kind of already predisposed to like horror comedy tropes where you introduce two characters like this and they just meet very grisly, hilarious ends. But Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. isn't that type of show, but that's immediately where my mind goes. Like, there's a character in Ash vs. Evil Dead that was very much like that. Like, you care about me too, right? Sure, girl whose name I don't know.
They made it out though.
Yeah.
They did.
Not a single
for
one
now.
of them died.
Now,
Yeah.
here's the kicker, though. If it's one of these two that ends up being the agent who dies,
my gosh.
I will be furious.
I would be pissed off.
No, that'd be such a cop-out.
That it's not gonna happen. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is better like written
They're
than that,
better
and
than
they
that.
put out like the Gwen Stacy style poster with like one of these people will die.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
it's gonna. I wasn't here last week to like.
Yeah,
give my,
no, it's good to hear
but
from you again.
One of these, it's one of our. I would say 95%. It's one of the original team.
That's what
I
was
thought we were
saying
going
as
to
well.
see that happen tonight.
I thought it was
to be
going to be
honest.
Mac for
I
a
was
hot
bracing
second.
myself for like tears to fall.
But Mac, again, just like you guys said last week about Lincoln, like it would. We like these characters and we love Mac, but
they haven't been with us since the beginning.
The way that it would if my prediction, which I would have given last week, of Fitz dying.
So you think Fitz? I think Simmons.
I think Simmons is already dead.
I heard that theory.
Yeah.
And
you stop it. You
I'm horrified.
Stop.
I was horrified.
Part of me believed it, and I kind of wanted to believe it because that would be so outlandish and crazy.
Yeah,
But
that's
today they didn't mention, like, they didn't bring up anything about Simmons and like how she's been feeling and
except
like.
she didn't want to.
She didn't want to do the experiment, and she was the one that broke the news to Lincoln that, it
didn't
failed.
work.
Just like I said it wouldn't work. Now, isn't that convenient?
I don't know.
I don't want to believe it, Jesse, because it's a disgusting theory.
I don't want to believe it happens, but there'd be something so chocolatey about it if it was just like
Caramel.
What a weird way to describe it.
like, she's been dead.
Chocolate?
Like just like something rich. Like it would just be like, oh god, no, I love it.
Fudgy? Would you say it would be fudgy?
Yeah, like fudgy. You just like, oh.
The chat is
Why
just
are
like
you ruining chocolate?
like multiple people like Rue and Time and SMF Tracers is just like no.
Yeah, because it's gross.
It's really
it is
gross.
gross.
Guys, don't want it to happen.
No, don't step on what was a beautiful scene last week.
Don't make us start another meme to say, hey, TV, stop the necrophilia either. Don't do that.
I do not think we're gonna need to do that.
I really hope we
Also,
don't. Also, if it happens, I'm going to be so mad at you in particular.
He does make a point. Hive does make a point to say like he could kill Dr. Radcliffe
At
and
any
just
point.
take over
Yeah.
his body. I have to think there's a reason he's not doing that.
I think that scene was pretty much played straight. I feel like it was just literally, you failed me. I could do a better job, with my combined knowledge with your memories. You serve no purpose having failed me.
Yeah.
So I feel like that was played straight.
But I think the reason that, because my first thought was like, well, okay, yeah, you could do that. So why keep him alive at all?
Because
Yeah.
Ward is just so handsome.
But I think it's mainly because Hive could take his memories, and that would give him any knowledge that this guy has come up with to this point. But he
can't
wouldn't have this guy's creativity.
Yeah, can't
Yeah.
think
in
the
the
way the
field.
guy thinks.
Yeah.
He just knows the stuff that the guy knows.
Yeah.
It's a different thing.
He needs
Yeah.
his ability to work this type of problem.
Yeah, I mean, we see that with the way that he's inhabiting Ward. He knows what Ward knows, but he doesn't think the way Ward thinks.
Could he possibly also be keeping as many of his, like, quote-unquote minions around, regardless of if they failed him or not, to sort of use them as leverage? Like, like they're a risk factor, and it's like he knows that S.H.I.E.L.D. wouldn't want to hurt as more people.
That's true. Yeah.
So
And it's also possible that the body transfer would leave him vulnerable again.
yeah.
Like, it took forever for him to recover from,
that's
from
true.
being the husk that Ward was.
Look, it's hard to find that much caramel sauce.
Yeah,
It
you
really
gotta-
is.
Especially in that small mining town.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. That small mining town
There's
with
got to be
poisoned water.
one, maybe two ice cream shops tops there. So like, there's not that much caramel
I'm surprised
sauce.
the beers on tap still work. Like, that's great.
Yeah,
Good
how-
for them.
What are you
How-
gonna
oh, yeah,
drink
how
if all
old
the
are those?
water's poisoned?
that is like pirate talk. We can't drink the water, so we drink rum instead.
That's 100% like in like turn of the century and before. In a lot of developing countries, you drank beer instead of water because it was processed and hops are a
Cleaner.
preservative, so it was cleaner.
Which is so counterintuitive though, because it's a diuretic.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, that sounds so uncomfortable.
Yeah, no, it's the worst. Okay, so let's kind of dial it back a little bit and let's get on to the episode. I'm glad we got to touch on our promoted S.H.I.E.L.D. interns who hopefully they'll make it out. I don't know. Maybe there was just a void that Bobby and Hunter left that like just needed to be filled by two like down to earth, not inhuman people.
Yeah. Because that was usually Hunter's voice.
Yeah, Hunter would have been the one in this scenario. Be like, are we going to talk about the two blue dudes? Just kidding.
But let's go ahead and just talk about the thing that kicked off the episode, which was the origin of Hive, which I don't know about you guys at home, but Zach made like an audible convulsion.
I thought like the paint on him made me think Maori, which
was Aborigine.
Which made me think that we were gonna get Eden. Yeah. Because he's a Maori. Is he a Maori or an Aboriginal?
I believe he's an
I think he's Aboriginal.
Okay.
Yeah.
Either way.
Yeah.
I seriously thought that's what they were doing. And then it quickly became clear that they were not.
That would have been cool.
I thought it was good. I was telling you guys, like, I think this is, as far as screen goes, except for Ronan, this is the best the Kree have looked. Like, they looked huge and intimidating and scary. Like, I thought they looked really cool. And, like, I liked the kind of direction they went with their suits. Like, it looked like they worked, like, they were practical looking. Like, it was, like, really cool creature effects.
Yeah, I thought they did a good job. And when we saw the origin and we saw, you know, the guy that they used to turn.
The guy that became Hive.
I started thinking to myself, like, I kind of feel bad for Hive. But I'm like, no, I feel bad for the guy whose poor soul
whose life was ruined.
Whose life was sacrificed and ruined for this thing. But kind of like humanized him for a second. Yeah. I kind of like sympathize with him.
You can get the sense of why he has this 1,000-year grudge.
Yeah.
X amount of years, who knows?
This humanized him or inhumanized him.
I mean, you have to think about, like, if he is like this primitive mind that has been taken and tortured until he's been given these powers, and then he gets banned and put on a planet where he just kills the things that are fed to him for thousands of years. Like, no
like
wonder,
a caged animal.
No wonder he is as screwed up as he is. Like, he has been basically taught to murder since conception.
Yeah, since these experiments were conducted on him.
Yeah.
I wonder what he would have been like sans these experiments. Like, would Hive have been this evil?
I don't know.
Conniving?
Well, I mean, again, it's one of those things where the power that he received was a very deliberate thing. Like, they very much it wasn't like when you didn't know what inhuman power you were going to get when you went through Terrigenesis. They knew exactly what they were doing to him. They had a very specific purpose in mind. So
I don't think they knew what power he was going to get.
No, they created him specifically for the agenda of being able to control the other Inhumans. Like, that was their purpose. At least that was kind of what they established a few episodes ago. It wasn't touched on in this episode, but they made it very clear that they created him to be the Inhuman general. But he was also the first Inhuman, so that might have been their intention, but the side effects of him being a slug monster might not have been the intent. Yeah. Might not have been intended.
Sure.
That might have been a whoops.
A parasite.
Oops.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting when they set it up a few episodes ago. They made it sound like it was like a program, I guess, that they had written that was like that decided on powers and everything that were needed.
Like an algorithm, but algorithms are created to make specific outcomes, and again, that was his role.
Yeah.
Yep.
Are we going to talk about how he turned 3 people into pizza?
Don't ruin pizza too, Jesse.
It looks like
pizza and chocolate, my 2 favorite things.
It looks like when you get the make at home pizza, but you forget to put the stone underneath it, so it like just goes through the grate in your oven as you cook it.
That is kind of what it looks like. So yeah,
you just have this weird pizza soup going over the grate of your onion.
It's just like, oh, the humanity.
And it'll take you at least 2 hours to clean that oven out.
But
and you're sad eating the pizza soup.
It still tastes kind of good.
You still eat it? What's wrong with you?
Don't let that kind of
good.
stuff go
Pizza.
to waste,
tastes good.
Megan.
But so yeah, he basically recruits the last heads of religious Hydra, which again kind of makes me go, oh yeah, no, they're just gonna pull from Hydra whenever they see fit.
Yeah.
But the last heads of religious Hydra who have escaped S.H.I.E.L.D's grasp, he's basically is like, we're gonna make you Inhumans because he wants all of humanity to become Inhumans so that he can control them all and be one big happy family, and it's great. Which I have to wonder if like his plan isn't to turn the whole world into Inhumans, and then if he's just going to be like king of the castle, or if he's going to be like, now we take war to the Kree.
Well, I mean, that would be the War of Kings story, kind of, where in the comic books, the royal family decided to, they're like, you know what, the Kree created us to be conquerors and warriors.
Let's go conquer and war.
Let's do that. And they went and like conquered the Kree homeworld and like declared war on the Shi'ar Empire. But that's going way far into the comic books. Yeah, I mean, I feel like that would probably be his end game. Like he's wanting to destroy his creators. So I feel like that would probably be where it goes, is he would turn all of Earth into Inhumans and then like go to war against the Kree.
Yeah. I mean, look, Hive's got daddy issues.
He's got
like,
real big daddy
Clearly.
issues.
This is true.
He's got lots of issues.
Could you
Hive
kill
would be
the
a
thing?
great stripper
Ugh.
with daddy issues.
You're ruining so many things.
I am sorry.
Strippers now too.
Chocolate, strippers, pizza.
What will you attack next? Is nothing sacred to you, Jesse?
I'm sorry to the baby in womb that listens to our podcast.
I will say though, it was a little. To me, it struck me as strange that it was it appeared to be the same Kree.
Yeah, well, they mentioned that these Kree, who I'm going to disagree with you, Jesse. I didn't like their designs because I thought they looked like discount Cenobites. But they mentioned that they had been in stasis for
In a
eons.
satellite.
So it sounds like they conducted a bunch of experiments for as long as they needed to, sent Hive away, and then we're just like, okay, we'll just chill here in suspended animation. That's cool.
So what was the device was like to call them back?
Yeah.
So who was that for?
I'm wondering if it was left for, like, maybe there was supposed to be a Kree agent on Earth that we haven't met yet. Or, like, if, like, maybe it was made for the Inhumans, that if they eventually discovered their origins and they needed the Kree, they could call them and, like, bring these
I have a
hunters
thought.
in.
Remember how Coulson was brought back to life from the DNA of a dead Kree? We don't know how that Kree came to be on Earth. Maybe
That's
that
true.
Kree was someone who was left behind.
That's right.
Who got killed by some other random happenstance. These artifacts were lost, scattered to the wind, and then this Kree was hard. Or maybe this Kree buried them and Inhumans found them, came
I
across
was
them.
gonna say, where did James say he found those artifacts?
He
He
stole
stole them from Jai Ying, and who
Okay.
knows
Yeah.
who knows how long she's had them.
Yeah.
Like, we can assume that those have been at Afterlife since its inception, or
Right.
that maybe somebody like Gordon found them in some far corner of the world, snagged them, and brought them back.
I miss Gordon.
Yeah. Victor Tang in the chat wants to know, could there be Kree agents hidden on Earth?
I think definitely.
Well, is that getting into like Skrull territory?
Well, the Kree can't change shape that way. We saw them change pigment.
Not
Yeah.
regular Kree, but I mean,
No,
they have established that they've been doing this
But
thing on lots of other worlds as well.
But, like, there's no established, like, the Kree can do some stuff, but they can't change their DNA like that.
and
Yeah. I
nothing,
think
there
nothing
could
about
be-
the Skrulls has been established yet.
I think they could do. I think there could be Kree agents on Earth, and I think that would maybe be the smart move to have, just to open it up to a bigger universe.
I wouldn't be surprised if the writers put that in there later
But
on.
wouldn't you think that those Kree would have shown up by now with the Inhumans like making the news and everything?
Unless they just don't care anymore.
Or they're soldiers and they're waiting orders. Like their job
true.
is to just like observe and wait until Hala, not the bread, but the planet.
Might one of the Kree is hiding on Earth be a captain Per se.
I mean,
Like
that-
maybe-
a
maybe-
marvelous captain or
Yeah.
something.
yeah. I mean, that would be, there is precedence for that, so yes.
Well, and who knows if there are Kree agents still on Earth, they might still be in stasis, like the ones who were. Maybe the ones on Earth are more stealth oriented or scientists,
Yeah.
and the ones that were in stasis off of Earth were the soldiers. So there are a number of different things that the Kree could have had in store for the Inhumans that we haven't seen come into play yet.
Yeah. Wasn't anyone else disappointed that the Kree didn't have tiny hammers? Because last season when they had tiny hammers, I was like, that's adorable.
It's gabble, gabble, gabble. It was so cute.
It
a
was
little gabble.
funny, and it
It's
just
like a meat tenderizer.
It felt like that's like a Kree weapon. Like
Yeah.
they swing hammers around.
Yeah.
Yeah, these guys holding like axes. It's
Yeah,
kinda
they
weird.
look like blade blaxes.
And this is why I said that it looked like discount Cenobites, because like they had the weird thing on their torsos and then not hammers. But
Yeah, it didn't. It like
I thought they looked
It didn't
awesome.
strike me as like bad by any means, but it was like a little more Power
cheesy?
Rangery than
I can see
than I
that.
would than I'm used to from Shield.
I thought they looked awesome. I thought that was the best the Kree. Like, I think they looked way better than the Korean Guardians in the Galaxy, where they just looked like Ninja Turtles. Because
They even call them.
well, we
Ninja
had
Turtles.
this
Ninja Turtles.
we had this discussion before the show. We all agree that Ronan looks great,
Yeah.
but that his other lackeys, we were like, were those even Kree? We don't know.
They were.
That's how they looked.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Graham, one last thing on
one
the
last
Kree
thing
on Earth
before we
thing.
move on.
Graham Mosquita says, didn't Sif say that Heimdall said there were no Kree on Earth?
Oh, maybe.
that they know of. I think we've
Heimdall sees
Heimdall,
everything.
yeah, Heimdall sees. Oh,
Yeah.
Does he?
Yes.
Does he though?
yeah,
Yes.
that's his thing.
That's his deal.
Does he?
Yes.
I don't know. He hasn't been able to see that Loki is like taking he's not that he's taking Odin's place.
Right.
I almost called Odin yeah, that's not
Because he
right.
sees Odin, but he still sees him.
Yeah.
I'm just
just nothing
saying
to report.
he might see all, but he might not necessarily observe all.
Well, he had stepped down. We're getting way off.
Anyway,
way off
that's
topic.
neither here nor there. Let's kind of move on to another kind of crux of this episode, which was the Daisy Hive dynamic, because we see Mac very much believes that Daisy's still in there, that she got caught on the surveillance camera on purpose so that they could come rescue her,
Yeah.
which may or may not be true.
I'm glad it's not. Like, I'm really glad that they solidified that it wasn't her, like, overpowering or, like, being more willful and, like, going over Hive.
Like she actually believes this.
Yeah, because that would just be
full-heartedly.
that'd be so hack, and like we've seen that so many times in like things where it's like someone has like brain or like mental control over someone, and it's like, no, that person believes so hard that they can overpower it.
Yeah.
And it also would
Like, you're still in there somewhere. No.
it would also like discount all the other people who have been under Hive's control. It's like, well, they just don't want it enough. It's like,
Yeah,
no,
that's
they
true.
all don't like being under Hive's control. They just can't help it. Like I think I'm glad they didn't go in that direction.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I know that Brett Dalton live tweeted during this episode, and he's actually
been fun.
his humor is right up my alley right now because it's all puns.
And that's why I
Give us a
refuse to
couple.
look
I
at the
have to
live
give some
tweets.
to you. No, listen.
Fine. Go.
Okay,
go
so
for it.
the one, I guess during the scene between Mac and Daisy, he says, "Come on, Mac, stop pushing daisies." And the next one is, let's see, "Seems like the Kree Reapers really have an axe to grind." And the next one is, "Maybe you should fear the Reapers."
Boo. Even I say boo to that one. Well done, Brett.
And then I guess
Well
during
done.
the scene where Lincoln injects himself, Brett Dalton said, "Well, that was shocking."
I'm not
Well
going to
done, Brett
dignify
Dalton. I
like that
any
one.
of those with a
I'm a
response.
fan.
I like that one.
I'm glad you enjoy them, Joyce.
I think his puns are infectious.
Ooh.
They're very
Moving on.
joyous.
But we get this very confrontational, because this whole time Hive has been like, we're one big happy family, come give me a hug, we care about you, we love you, that sort of thing. I'm so sorry you had to go through all that. And here he's basically like, you would murder your friends if push came to shove, right? And she's like, yeah, totally.
I would rip their hearts out.
Yeah, is what she said.
That was a little harsh.
Oh, you didn't ask that part.
Where did that come from?
Well, and he's like, and I would do the exact same to the people who turned me into the thing that I am now. It's like, it's a little different. I'm pretty sure you probably weren't bros with any of the Kree that experimented on you, unlike Daisy, who was like adopted by this family and became friends with them.
But even when Daisy's talking to Max, she's comparing them to the Kree. Like, she's 100% like in.
You turned me into this, yeah.
And like, I didn't have a choice and all that stuff.
I kind of liked what she was saying about how ever since she joined S.H.I.E.L.D, she feels like she's always being saved, or like Coulson's always trying to fill voids and like to be there for her and to make sure she has like this full life.
She called them the little band of like the island of misfit toys.
Yeah. And I kind of like, I didn't think about her role, but like her character like that before, and I never thought that she would be someone who's like always saved, because I always feel like she figured things out on her own. And then like they just sort of helped her use those to the best of her ability. But it was interesting that now, like with Hive's control, she just doesn't feel like she's that person anymore. I never thought of it that way. I kind of liked how she said that.
Well, again, her brain is currently chemically imbalanced.
Yeah.
That's the important thing to remember.
Well, I think that the big thing with Daisy is that Hive has gotten her to a point where, like, whatever, like, the addiction that she feels towards him, which is, I think, a very real way that it's affecting her.
Yeah.
She wants to, it's like both an addiction and also like a bad relationship. Like, she wants so badly to prove to him, to prove to Hive that she is on his side and she is his best soldier. Like, towards the end of the episode when he's like, I shouldn't have put my trust in you.
She's like, yes, you should have.
I don't know why I made him Southern for a second, but like,
I don't know why I put my trust in you, Daisy.
Well, it's like the most dangerous lies we tell are the ones we tell to ourselves. And it's like, you know, when you're in a bad relationship, you will lie to yourself and say it's gonna get better. You will lie and say, like, you know, this person can be good. I've seen it. It's going to happen.
He loves me, really.
Yeah. And like that kind of thing. So it is like and like, especially with addiction, like the thing that addicts do is they lie. Like, that is the thing they do, is they will lie to themselves and say, like, I'm gonna be done tomorrow, or like, this is the last time.
I can quit anytime I want.
Knowing fully well that will never happen. And so, like, this is like a huge like, this is an addiction times a billion.
Especially after she found out what his next like goal for her was to like kill them, basically. It was, you could see it in her face, like, holy crap, like, what have I gotten myself into?
But then decided to do it.
But decided to do it anyway, or to attempt to.
Yeah, she 100% believes that this is for the best.
Well, and she was this close to killing Mac.
Yeah.
Like, she was delivering what would have been the fatal blow, undoubtedly, if she hadn't been shot in the arm.
I was super scared. Like, I really thought, like,
I thought she was gonna kill him.
I legitimately thought he was dead.
Yeah.
She
was
broke
prepping
his
for tears.
arms. Yeah. No, I think we were all just pretty silent as we were watching that go down. It was hard to watch because he up until this moment, he like hadn't given up faith in her. Like, hadn't given up faith that like some part of her was still fighting it or could still fight it. And it was heart-wrenching because all throughout the episode he's like, I have to do what any good partner would do. This is on me. And it's really awful to watch Mac go through this because he puts so much of the blame on himself, because in his mind he wasn't being a good partner. He wasn't there for her.
I thought it was really interesting. They kind of did a really subtle arc with May this episode, because like saying something like, this is my fault, I should have been there for her, in front of May, after May lived with someone who was killing people and was like falling back in love with someone who was an Inhuman who was killing people,
and then who eventually lost himself.
And then James said being Inhuman doesn't change your personality. You're still the same person. Directly to her when they're in that amazing pool scene, which was amazing. But like,
I think that's accurate though. Like, has anyone that we've seen changed their personality?
Not that I can
what
remember.
I'm saying is, like, for May to hear that is very biting, because I'm sure May believes still that her husband is not a killer, and that her husband is not someone who would murder all of those innocent people.
And she blames herself.
And she blames herself for it. Like, there was this weird, like not even like a C story or D story. It was just this thread throughout the entire episode where it was kind of reinforcing May's kind of dismay about what had happened with her husband, where it was like all of these people were kind of showing, like, you know, Andrew still has his personality, and whether we know that or not, that's what they were saying, and it's what she was seeing. And you know, the part where she and Mac got in an argument where Mac was like, it's on me, it's all my fault, and May has been spending this entire time trying to convince herself that it isn't her fault what happened with Andrew, while everyone's telling her it's not her fault. So then to see Mac say it's his fault, like, that's an affront to everything she's been dealing with.
Same with Lincoln, like being like, I have to do something. It's like, for the longest time there was nothing she could do about Andrew, and she had to sit and deal with it. And the fact that he's being such an obstinate child about it, you know, that has to be very grating as well. But you mentioned that scene with Hellfire,
so
and
good.
and I have to apologize to everybody last week because we didn't get a chance to talk about it a whole lot. But when we saw James turn into Hellfire, there were lots of noises that we made last week, and I know you weren't here, Zach, so I wanted to know, what was your reaction when James became Hellfire?
It was awesome. Like, I think the tweet I put out, like, while because I watched, like, immediately after. Like,
You have to.
I couldn't be here last week because I had, like, an awesome just, like, 1 day gig, like, doing some engineering behind the scenes stuff at with Matt Key and Kevin Smith at Fat Man on Batman.
Yeah.
It was cool. It was fun. But I'm like, oh my god, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D's happening right now. So I got home and I just, like, was like, ZOMG Hellfire.
Better than Scorch.
That was really cool.
No, it was fun because it was just like, it's just a realization of a comic book character, and, like, the more we get of him, the more is just like, this is
great
He's
payoff.
spectacular in this episode. His interactions with Daisy, and him blatantly hitting on May, thinking like, hey, you play your cards right, sweetheart. I can get you first in line to become an Inhuman like me.
I love that May knows how to play his character. She told, like, as soon as Max said he's a blowhard, she was like, oh, I know how to handle people like this. She went in there. I love that scene. It was so great.
So good.
I love that he's like, oh, I'm sure he's still in that old abandoned mine, whatever, cellar.
Didn't skip a beat. It was almost cartoonish, like, when he had his head. Like, I almost expected, like, cartoon birds to start flying around his head, but it was just so good, and it was a really nice bit of lighthearted fun that we had in an otherwise very dark episode.
Yeah.
So I know James is down a very dangerous path, but I appreciated Hellfire here.
Yeah.
And without getting into anything looking forward, like, I'm just so excited. I kept waiting for him to pick up, like, a chain, and, like, I'm just like, it's so, I was like, when he's throwing the pool ball around, like, it's just like, this is this character. Like, the drinking.
Yeah.
Is he Aussie?
Yeah, he's Australian.
Yeah, he's Australian.
No,
I mean,
in the books. In the books. I don't think he is.
I don't think he is in the comic books.
But it's a great, it totally works.
I don't think they say where he's from, so I don't think it matters.
That's the thing. They take different parts of the characters from Secret Warriors and they put them into other characters in the show, which I think is really cool.
Not enough time for us to get Phobos, though.
Maybe,
So bad.
maybe next season.
Yeah, possibly.
Maybe next season.
Guys, I want Phobos so bad.
It's okay. It's okay.
I want Greek mythology in my Marvel more.
Is there anything else more we want to talk about with May or with Hellfire before we take a quick break to talk about iTunes?
No, I mean, I just think they had a really good scene, and it was a great just character showcase. Like, to see the two actors kind of do a great showcase in the middle of the show.
Your point about, like, the underlying message to May. I didn't think about that at all.
We're getting a few tweets saying that, like, kind of because of that underlying thread, that May will probably be the one to sacrifice her life at the end of this season. I still think it's going to be Simmons, but you know, I'm not discrediting that theory. So thank you, Twitter, for all that. Yeah. In the meantime, we want to take a quick moment to talk to you guys really quickly about iTunes. Folks, thank you. And we didn't get a chance to read off the comments last week, but we really do appreciate every time you guys go to iTunes to rate and leave a comment.
So cool.
It is the best way to let our producers know that you like the show that we're putting on, and it shows up to people who work at Marvel somehow. People at Marvel pay attention to this sort of thing, and that is mind-boggling to me. And it's really encouraging, and it's really fulfilling hearing that sort of thing and hearing what you guys have to say about not only Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. but about our panel here. And we love that we have an international audience.
Yeah, real quick, on YouTube, I got some shout-outs from Qatar.
Whoa.
Yeah, and
that's
Portugal.
So cool.
Yeah, I
the best.
had some really cool like conversations with international people on YouTube. So keep on sending those, guys. I love it. Like, it's the best. And if you are an international person and you rate or comment on iTunes, take a picture of it and tweet it to us so we can see it, because we can't see it on iTunes.
We can't see, we can only see the American one.
Yeah.
But I hope most of them, because I'm on my iPad, which is not the best interface
Fingers
for
crossed,
reading
guys.
his
If we
reviews.
miss you, let us know.
Yeah. But so we got Ian Troop 686. I listen to your podcast every day on my way to and from school. Mickey Fan 42. I'm gonna have to go real quick, so I'm not gonna be able to read the whole thing. Mickey Fan 42 says, a great podcast for MCU and especially Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. fans. Vicky K. Toria, amazing. I'm not a big fan of after shows, but this one is fantastic. I'm an avid reader, but I don't have time to catch up on the comics, so it's nice to get that information every week.
Oh, cool.
Mrs. Groot says 5 stars.
Mrs. Groot.
Not sure which I look forward to more, the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. or this after show. Prodigal 358, you liked my Pokeball review. We did. Boston, LA, thank you. Great podcast from Big Guy 1971.
Big Guy.
Glitter Frog 3 says, great podcast, love the insight and the panel. Zach is the best.
He's definitely the best singer, that's
I'm
for
smiling
sure.
really wide right now.
Zach is
and
the
there's
best.
there's more of that. 3BH Fan 4 Leaf says, love it. I just want to say that you are easily my favorite after show. I watch several others that I really enjoy, but this panel is easily the best. Then they were talking about Clark Gregg and Haley Atwell's lip sync battle.
There's been a lot of action with that lip sync.
Freaking amazing.
Marvel Fan 33 says, I look forward to the show every week. I love all the predictions and appreciate all the knowledge each of the hosts have. An essential part of the S.H.I.E.L.D. experience from S.H.I.E.L.D. agent Joanna. Fantabulous podcast. You guys are basically a part of the episode for me. As soon as I finish, I go straight to you guys. I'm so happy to navigate the twists and turns of this amazing show with the best AfterBuzz team. As much as I love to torture you guys, I'd rather not hurt my ears again. Good luck getting to 600. By the way, we're at 574.
Yeah, we are so close. You guys are so close to being saved.
The Ginge Ninja says, a great way I found to relive this show from the night before. Great work, gang. The Lonely Wakandan says, great show. Keep up the great work.
Not lonely for long.
And there's 2 from the Lonely Wakandan. Great, thank you, Lonely Wakandan. Sarah Coach, Marvel Buzz AfterBuzz podcasts are the best AfterBuzz podcast. I discovered this podcast after I also discovered the Jessica Jones after show.
Nice.
Up top. Yeah.
Well done, fellows.
And then from Phil Coulson's left hand.
Saga continues.
What's in my bag? Phil Coulson's left hand edition. Well, folks, today it's time for What's in My Bag? Phil Coulson's left hand edition. I've been waiting for people to request it, but no one has, so I decided to just go for it. Next week, we'll go back to makeup tutorials, I promise.
Oh
Here
my
we go.
goodness.
A water bottle or a jug of water. Yeah, it's a big bag. I keep this with me so I can pour it over Phil's head when he stops by. by pepper spray. Gotta keep safe. I'm talking to you, Phil, because this is here especially for you. A nail file, so I can sharpen my nails to pry that prosthetic off of him. Money. I
believe that was money.
I gotta say though, it's hard to make it rain with one hand.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it's possible.
It's possible, but it's difficult. It's difficult.
There's also in Phil Coulson's back, there's a crash test dummy arm. I needed to prove to Phil that I've gotten over him. And that's another edition of What's in My Bag, Phil Coulson's left hand edition. Next week, eyeliner for hands.
Oh my goodness.
Bye-bye.
I freaking love that.
Oh, Phil Coulson's left hand. How did I ever live my life without you?
And lastly, just another 5-star review from Mama Little 7.
Mama Little
Seven.
And if I didn't get you, I'm sorry. It doesn't necessarily show me everyone in perfect order, so it's hard to say.
Mama Little 7's in the hashtag as well. Thank you so much for tuning in live. Yeah, thank you guys so much. I am speechless. That was so great. Okay, so let's go ahead and move right along. I want to talk about Lincoln in this episode because he's had a very interesting progression so far this season, but it always kind of boils down to the same thing. He's here for Daisy. He doesn't know how to take orders, and then he learns how to take orders, and then he immediately goes back on it, and he kind of falls into this repetitive pattern. And we see that a lot here. He's lost without her, and he just wants to do something, which is understandable and a very human reaction from him. He just wants to find some way to help Daisy. And in this episode, that manifests as basically kind of throwing tantrums and then almost killing himself.
Yeah, but it's interesting because Lincoln, so we're saying that Daisy is sort of addicted to this control that she's under. And it's interesting because Lincoln also was an addict, right? Like, he was an alcoholic, and in many ways, he received help that, like, he necessarily didn't want, and I think he's really, and from Daisy too, so I think he's really trying to, like, give that back to her, but also because he can't function without her, like,
it's kind of like he knows that she needs to be like
he's been there.
helped. There needs to be an intervention.
Like, he's been in those low lows before.
But at the same time, he's kind of now addicted to her.
Yeah.
Like, she is his drug.
I mean, I was trying to put myself in Lincoln's moccasins, and I was thinking about it, and it's like, when he was in Afterlife, he was like a respected member of that community, was like in charge of like helping people who just changed. And he
was one of the only ones to know that Jai-Ying was her mom.
Yeah, and was like a doctor in that community, and was like it was a big deal in Afterlife. And now he is a very small deal in S.H.I.E.L.D. Even though he's got these electric powers, everyone's like, okay, great, we all have guns, so like, and we're all trained special agents.
A tiny cog in a big machine.
Yeah, and I think like today especially, we were seeing like that frustration where he's like, I want to help, and like, just don't do anything.
Yeah, he's a tiny insubordinate cog.
Yeah, exactly. And so like, I was thinking about it, and like, I wasn't even thinking about the addiction, but that's a great point where he's frustrated because he's been there, he's been addicted, and now he can't do anything to help her, and like, that's a really interesting point. I mean, it was a dumb move to inject himself.
Yeah, especially amongst the computers.
Yeah.
Come on, Mr. Electricity.
Yeah.
You have to know you're gonna like...
You gotta know.
Not only are you an Inhuman who is well aware of your own set of powers, you're a doctor. You're a doctor, for goodness sakes. You should know better.
Thank God he's not, like, practicing.
Yeah, I wonder if there's gonna be any side effects to it. Like, it looked like it was just, he got weakened a little bit, but I wonder if there's gonna be any, like,
I feel like this is
mutation.
I feel like this is
but a change.
But I feel like this is kind of a red herring because the consequences of this are that his immune system, it's completely shot. The way Simmons put it is, somebody sneezes, it could kill him.
Yeah, I feel like that has to come back. This has to be important.
I feel like it's either very important because it's going to contribute to his death or almost death, or it's a blatant red herring.
Him to death?
What a way to go! Like, all this time we're expecting an explosion in space, and it's just
Lincoln gets stuck in a room. Lincoln gets stuck in a room with a bunch of people and there's just pepper all over the place. Oh no!
He gets stuck in a waiting room of a pediatrics office.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, what a way to go. But
I-
like I feel like it could be a red herring for this thing that they keep hammering in every single week. Someone will die.
Yeah.
And now he is very physically weakened.
One thing I thought that was interesting it was an exchange between him and Simmons. It was kind of when Simmons was trying to get Fitz to understand her point of view in front of Lincoln and in front of Coulson, and she spoke to Lincoln and she was like, "You're acting like some sort of lovesick fool trying to make a grand gesture," and I kept thinking, like, that's exactly what Fitz did for you.
Yeah.
Like, how, like, she has to understand on some level, like, why he's doing what he's doing. And Fitz kind of did, right? But maybe not in that.
Fitz gets it because he would have done the same. He would do
He
the
would
same
have
thing
done
for
the same.
Simmons.
And he is open to the possibility that it could, on the off chance, work.
Yeah.
Like,
Mm-hmm.
it's within the realm of possibility. Even if it is a very small chance, it's possible.
Yeah.
I mean, just thinking, we were talking about Lincoln feeling, like, insignificant. Again, like, he's a doctor, but, like, he's not anywhere near the level of Fitzsimmons. And so it's like he can't even, like, they're speaking a completely different language than him.
He's a medical doctor.
Yeah.
Like, he knows how to help people, how to heal people, cure people, but engineering a vaccine, very different.
Yeah. And, like, Simmons has healed people before, fine. Like she can do his job 10 times better.
She can heal people because her emphasis in study can be applied to being
exactly.
like a medical practitioner, but and yeah, Fitz is like, he can throw around quantum physics whenever he wants as like a throwaway, like, well, okay, if you guys need the Event Horizon explanation, I can demonstrate it for you.
It reminds me, there's a moment in the comics where Mr. Fantastic asks Hank Pym for help because he needs something with Pym particles, and he's like, look, and Pym's like being all like he's like, oh, so you needed my help with science, huh? And he's like, yeah, you're the world leader on Pym particles. It would take me a week to be as smart as you are about it. And Pym's just like, oh.
Yeah.
That's awesome. But yeah, and I get Lincoln's frustration, but that doesn't make watching this like self-destructive path any easier.
Oh yeah. Just, if you're frustrated, don't inject yourself with random
don't do
needles.
It's just a lot of face palming, mental face palming for me watching him go through all that stuff. I'm
Mental and occasionally physical.
like, if you're gonna inject yourself, go to one of those chambers,
Yeah.
at least.
Like, like, there's you have a very good chance to explode and blow stuff up. Go to a rubber room.
Yeah.
Yeah, were they in the helicarrier at the time? Like, were they flying around? I assume that they were just at the base.
No, that was the base.
Okay.
I think they were at the
But
base.
yeah,
If it was in
that
the
would have been
helicarrier.
that
Oh my
even
God.
worse.
Can you
That would've been
imagine?
ridiculous.
They were on the bus, and he just like.
Did
They
you
just crash and burn.
Did you guys notice also kind of the parallel where Mac also didn't follow orders and went after
Yeah.
Daisy just like Lincoln had? And I was like, okay, so like we're seeing like these two, like they're both out of the game because they didn't follow orders.
Yeah.
Like if Lincoln had followed orders and Mac had followed orders and stayed ranks and didn't go after Daisy, they would still both be healthy. Like an already depleted team now has two people
Maybe.
out.
Although
Maybe-
Mac was able to take out the Kree.
Yeah.
With the splinter bomb.
Soldier.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
maybe,
that wasn't the order.
maybe that was the reason why they introduced Piper and O'Brien, was just to fill these two slots that have been not vacated, but that are kind of left empty while these two are on the sideline.
We were not introduced. They just
Yeah,
jumped
they
in.
just showed up.
They just showed up.
I was like, who are you?
Like, ooh, these are cool guns.
Yeah.
Aliens are here? What?
Like, did you guys ever watch Lost?
Yeah.
Like at one point they introduced
Season
these 2 new
3.
characters, and they were like, "Oh, you're always saying you want to be more involved," and it's like, "Who the hell are you?"
Oh, was that season 2, right?
I think it was season 2
or season 3, yeah, where it's like,
Yeah, where it's like, no, we've been here the whole time. No, you haven't.
their entire episode was just like trying to prove to you that they were there.
they were
it showed
relevant.
them.
And then also there was an episode in season 1 where like the marketing made a really big on ABC. Maybe this is just an ABC thing, but on ABC they made a really big deal. Someone will die, and it was some guy we never saw. It was just some guy on the periphery.
Let's hope that doesn't happen
Let's hope that doesn't happen here. But to get back to like the Lincoln and Fitz and Simmons storyline, they made a lot of progress, assuming she's not a monster. That like their relationship, that they're. Although this could have been just kind of a superficial thing of like, oh yeah, of course we're not going to let our disagreements at work affect our relationship. Was that no, I'm mad that you didn't agree with me, or was that like a legitimate like, no, work is separate from what we have?
No, I actually think Simmons was being genuine. I think
Yeah.
she's not upset that he disagreed with her, because like he wasn't like, you're stupid. He was just like. But Fitz he was very good about playing the politics of that, like, well, you're both right.
Plus, ultimately, Coulson made the decision. So, like, no matter who he went with, I mean, what are they gonna do?
Well, he would have like had
Simmons. It helped that Simmons won.
it did. Yeah, it did.
It always helps when Simmons wins. In general. Fellas,
the world is a better place.
don't pick hills to die on. Just let it happen.
Simmons wins. I wonder if that's how their night went too.
Hashtag Simmons wins.
Hey,
Sorry, I couldn't help it.
Did you guys not go when they rescued Mac? Did you guys not go like, also get Daisy? She's
That's
right
what I
there.
thought. I
like,
thought they were gonna, especially since it was the power-proof chamber that fell down. I thought they were gonna throw her in there and lift her up, and then like if they had, because at this point it hadn't been established that the antidote that they had been working on had failed.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh, okay, they have her. Now they're going to have like a little trial and error thing with an attempted cure.
yeah. I feel like they picked a really like bad time to really strictly follow orders, because May kept saying like, it's not our order to get to Daisy, it's not our mission to get to Daisy, like don't worry about Daisy,
It's to run.
it's to get Hive, or if you can't get Hive, just run and like get in contact with Inhumans as little as possible. So
but there have been many times where they've been like,
I know,
we're not
that's
doing the
why
orders.
it's so strange. I totally agree. I thought it was
But
weird that they
again,
didn't grab her.
It was the repercussions of not having followed orders that
That's
left
true.
Mac literally broken on the ground.
Yeah.
I think, if anything, I think taking Daisy in is too dangerous.
Yeah, because Hive would have come after her.
and
Not
now
only
they
that,
now
just
know he's
like-
kind of indestructible.
Just like Daisy is too powerful to be held, even in one of those cells. I don't think it would hold her.
You know what's kind of good to know about this episode is that even though Hive has control of all of the Inhumans, they don't actually share a Hive mind. It's not like information is passed from one to the other.
Because the
non-verbal.
May James scene, like James would have immediately, like Hive would have recognized
Yeah.
May immediately.
Yeah. It's a very fascinating way to do the Hive situation, because it's almost like they're vying for peace in a way. Like there's a part of, especially through this episode, you go almost like Hive kind of has a good like motive. Like he's like trying to unite people. Yeah, it's like his methods are messed up.
It would cause world peace, but then the entire world would be at his whim. The entire direction of the rest of humanity would be whatever this guy who has 1,000-year grudge against an alien race would feel like doing with humanity.
It's more a power play than anything else.
I don't think he
It's
wants
the
to just hug it
extreme-
out with all of humans.
It's the extreme version of what we always talk about on the show, where it's like, would you rather be safe or would you be free? And like, this is the extreme version where if everyone was under Hive's control, then you would be safer than you've ever been in your life. There's no chance that you would get attacked by anyone or anything like that.
That's
Like
true.
everything would be
and-
Yeah, it
extremely
certainly
safe.
sounds like Hydra.
Yeah.
And he has lied to himself. Like when he's confronting the Kree, he's like, "You created something divine. If he takes over the world, then he is a god amongst men."
Sure.
That is exactly what he is.
Yeah.
So yeah, it'll be interesting.
And his precedent, I thought, was it was a nice Civil War check.
Yeah.
Where
Yeah.
he starts talking about like
Man in
billionaires in an iron suit.
Super
Government created
soldiers.
There's a civil war coming.
Yeah.
That's to get all the Marvel
Wink.
fans excited.
It's like it's interesting that like Hive has that sort of insight. That's
Yeah.
that's cool, I guess.
It's
Yeah.
also interesting that like last year we had at least like them entering into Sokovia. Like that's how the Avengers got the information about where Hydra was hiding, was that they got it from S.H.I.E.L.D. here. And like here there was no real Civil War tie-in at all except for
Yeah.
those winks.
Except for a few little nods like
I think it was that, I mean, the movies are made first, and then the show more has to build around it, and I think they just, like, found a perfect way to lead into Ultron. There probably isn't as smooth of a transition into it. But they're clearly not doing a huge crossover because they haven't promoted anything like they did last year.
Yeah.
They were like, it's all good. They were very much pushing that.
They
This
made
is like
it very
subtle
clear
little
in
things.
multiple via multiple media outlets. Go see Civil War and then watch S.H.I.E.L.D. You know, or like
Age of
watch
Age of Ultron, you mean?
Sorry. Well, I'm thinking.
Or Winter Soldier.
I'm thinking 2 years ago when it was like watch Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. this week, then watch Winter Soldier, then watch Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. again, and then this past year it was watch Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. because that ties directly into Ultron.
Yeah.
And this year we haven't really gotten any word. I wonder if they're like stepping away from that to allow the show to do its own thing.
I think it's just becoming more complicated.
Yeah. It's just like this
to
is getting
pull
hard.
off as the movies become more unique, and I think the
Well, and as the schedule keeps changing too.
look, I mean, the movie's gonna be. I think the movie's gonna be great, and like this show will keep going, and like the Fallen Agent storyline is so separated from that.
Yeah.
I don't think that. I think last week's taking out of Hydra is the most setup that we'll get for Civil War.
Yeah, exactly.
Speaking of like setting up, should we talk about news?
Let's go ahead and talk about some news and gossip.
AfterBuzz TV News.
So, The Punisher, for those of you who watched season 2 of Daredevil, The Punisher was super compelling. So compelling that they decided to go ahead and give him his own. One season has been greenlit so far for Netflix.
That's pretty
so
cool.
it is coming to Netflix. What do you guys think?
See you soon, Red.
I'm stoked. I loved his character.
I think it's really interesting that Marvel really undershot their Netflix ideas. They're like, we'll have one episode of Daredevil, one season of Daredevil,
10-episode season of Daredevil.
yeah, and like then
see how it
Jessica
goes.
Jones, then like the Defenders, maybe Iron Fist, maybe Power Man, like that kind of
Maybe
stuff.
He's so
Luke
mad.
And now it's like season.
What they
3 of
originally sold
Daredevil.
Netflix was they were doing it was 50. They paid for 50 episodes,
Yeah.
and that was 10 Daredevil, 10 Jessica Jones, 10 Luke Cage, 10 Iron Fist, 10 Defenders.
Yeah.
That was it. And then they're like, what if we did 13 of all of them? And what if we did like a second season, then we spun it off into a Punisher series, and then we get like a phase 2?
A million episodes forever.
Like I will readily admit, without any spoilers here for those of you who haven't watched season 2 of Daredevil, which go see it. I know it's hard to find the time sometimes, but go see it. I thought the Punisher stuff was the most compelling stuff about season 2 of Daredevil, and I on the one, I'm torn though, because I'm like, I like you better as a side character in somebody else's show, so I'm wondering if that level of quality will be maintained when he's our main
is
focus.
it too much Punisher?
Yeah.
Can there be such a thing?
There can be.
Sure.
Yeah, we can talk about that.
Anyway,
but there's others, but we got the
there's
Shield stuff.
One more kind of rumor that's going around. It started trending again today. Agent Carter rumors about its renewal, and most people are thinking it's not going to happen. let ABC know what you guys think. If you want Agent Carter to return, let your voices be heard, because we're at kind of a tipping point.
We need to see what happens to Bernard.
We do. We need Bernard Watch 2016. We have to know what happens to that flamingo.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's go ahead and move on into predictions real quick. Rapid fire.
AfterBuzz TV predictions.
Oh my God, the chain.
Yeah.
The chain. Your reaction.
You were waiting for that for like 5 minutes, weren't you?
Me and Zach both just went. We saw the Hellfire
I swear,
chain.
simultaneously, Jesse and I made those noises.
The Hellfire chain, so cool. That's all I'm gonna say.
I feel like for my prediction, I feel like with both Mac and Lincoln taken out and Daisy all out of commission or otherwise predisposed or indisposed, I feel like we're going to get Joey and Yo-Yo back. Whether or not they'll be happy to come back is one thing or another, but yeah, I feel like we're gonna get them back soon.
I like that idea.
My only prediction, now that we see that Hive can heal. Like, he has a very powerful healing factor.
Yeah,
I think
that
it's
was
gonna,
gross and cool.
It's basically going to take a cure that's going to bring Hellfire back on team, or on team for the first time, and him combined with Lincoln and Quake and even like Joey's power, like to take him down. You're gonna basically have to melt Hive.
Yeah, no, this is like a Dragon Ball Z scenario where if like there's a bit of him left, he's probably gonna assimilate himself back together.
It's like Cell.
Yeah, exactly. If there's a single cell of Hive left.
gross.
That would be like the big splash page where all of them using their powers.
Exactly.
I think Daisy's like super vulnerable right now because she's injured. I feel like it'll be easy. I'm predicting that she's gonna come back as real Daisy next week.
Okay.
Here's hoping.
And there's one scene in the preview we saw where she's like yelling, "Don't touch him," but we don't see who the him is, and I'm thinking it's Lincoln. So I think she's gonna come back, and then Lincoln's gonna get his day in the sun.
Yeah. One other thing we want to mention: Alicia's dead. That's
Oh
kind of a
yeah,
bummer.
damn, we forgot about her.
Mentioned that
Alicia.
Ginger Ninja. Yeah, that was a bummer. She didn't ask for that. She deserved better.
Yeah.
Anywho, guys, thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you to everybody in the live chat and the hashtag. You guys are just the best. Jesse, where can people go if they want to find you?
Yeah, if you want to find me on Twitter and Instagram, you can find me at JessKlein1. That's JessKlein, the number 1. And I do live comedy in the Los Angeles area with my sketch teams DJ Fawcett and Haymaker. So if you're in the area, come check us out.
Cool.
Hey guys, you can find me on Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube at that Zach Wilson. A bunch of shows here at AfterBuzz, but stay tuned to the YouTube channel because this, I think, either Friday or Saturday, as soon as I can do it, I'm gonna do like a top 5 moments from Civil War because we're all seeing it together Thursday night.
Stay tuned to Twitter. We're gonna be tweeting a bunch, I assume.
Oh yeah.
But no spoilers, guys. I cannot emphasize this enough. Do not spoil us.
If you spoil us, I will ban you forever.
Forever. Joyce, where can people go?
Hey guys, I'll see you next week, but you can find me on Twitter, Instagram, and Snapchat at Joyce Ajouri. I've got some cool behind the scenes snaps of us here at the studio, and I'll see you next week.
And I'm Megan. You guys can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at TheMenguin. That's TheMenguin. I'm also on a bunch of shows here at AfterBuzz, and I write articles for The Movie Chick. That's Chick with 2 Ks. Be sure to check those out. I wrote up a little exclusive for The Movie Chick earlier today about a bonus feature from the Blu-ray DVD combo pack of Ruby Volume 3. Go check that, guys, out. It'll be so cool. It's so much fun. Thank you all so much again for tuning in. We will see you all next week. Woo!
Bye!
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.